Every now and again, stories come out about strange, elusive creatures that possess supernatural abilities and unusual appearances. Today, we're going to tell you about two of them. But before we get into that, hello and welcome to Back-to-Back Horror Stories, where we tell you a few different strange and/or creepy stories back-to-back.
Make sure to watch to the end to avoid having the blood sucked out of your neck. And if you end up enjoying this video, please like, comment, and subscribe. Now, let's get started. Bigfoot or Sasquatch is an ape-like creature that's said to inhabit the forests of North America. The creature is described as large, muscular, and usually covered in black, dark brown, or dark reddish hair. It's allegedly about 6 to 9 feet tall, but some people say it's around 10 to 15 feet tall. The creature's eyes supposedly glow yellow or red in the nighttime, and its footprints are nearly 2 feet long and 8 inches wide. A man named David Thompson navigated the entire length of the Columbia River in 1811, and in his published journals, he wrote about seeing large footprints. These footprints measured about 14 inches in length and 8 inches in width. Though on these tracks there was a small nail at the end of each toe, and he stated they resembled a large bear's track. Where the name Bigfoot originates from is actually pretty interesting. In 1958, a man by the name of Jerry Crew, who was a logging company bulldozer operator in Humboldt County, California, discovered a very large set of human-like footprints. He told his coworkers, and then many of them started telling similar stories of tracks that they had seen on previous job sites. Another weird thing that happened to the workers was that an oil drum that weighed 450 pounds was moved without any explanation. Soon, the logging company would start calling the mysterious creature Bigfoot. Jerry had first thought that someone was playing a prank on him, but then he kept seeing tracks very similar to the previous ones. He then contacted a local reporter named Andrew Gonzoli, who worked for the Humboldt Times newspaper. Andrew interviewed a ton of the workers and wrote some articles about the footprints, and in this newspaper, he used the term Bigfoot. The story spread like wildfire, and many media outlets such as the New York Times picked it up. In 2002, family members of Jerry Crew's co-worker who passed away, Ray Wallace, said that their father had secretly made the footprints with carved wooden feet and that he was responsible for the tracks, though they never provided any proof. There have been over 10,000 reported Bigfoot sightings in the continental United States, but the most famous one is the Patterson-Gimlin footage of 1967. On October 20th of that year, 36-year-old Bob Gimlin was at a gas station when he bumped into his good pal Roger Patterson. Roger was the epitome of a Bigfoot hunter, and he just self-published his new book titled Do Abominable Snowmen of America Really Exist? Which is a good question, but in the summer of 1967, Roger decided to start filming a pseudo-documentary about cowboys, an old miner, and an indigenous American tracker on the hunt for Bigfoot. I guess that was him. But as soon as Roger ran into Bob, he told him about his film and about a set of unidentifiable footprints in Northern California. Roger then asked Bob if he could help him on his hunt, and Bob agreed, and so the two then set off on horses towards Bluff Creek. Roger was riding in front of Bob, and he was controlling the horse with one hand and filming with a 16mm Cine Kodak camera in his other hand. Roger then puts his camera into his saddlebag, and then all of a sudden the horses start to go crazy and a disgusting skunk-like smell fills the air. That's when the two men look up and see a huge creature walking about 20 to 30 feet away from them. Roger yelled, "Bob, cover me," as he got off his horse, and then he grabbed his camera and ran over to start recording. Bob pulled out his rifle just in case, but this is what they saw. After seeing this, they quickly got back to their campsite to take plaster casts of the footprints and then drove 30 miles to a variety store where they wanted to ship off their film to Roger's brother-in-law. Roger then called the Times-Standard newspaper in Eureka, and this is where it all started. Soon the footage would go what we call now viral. But many people were very skeptical of it being real and claimed that it was a hoax and that it was just a guy in a monkey suit. But this is what a monkey suit of very high value would look like in 1967. The one in that video just looks way more real. A costume designer in 2002 named Philip Morris claimed that he sold Roger the ape-man costume used in the film for $435. And a few years before that, a man named Bob Hieronymus of Yakima, Washington, said that Roger hired him to wear the costume and that he actually showed it to a few friends at a bar. Bob said that they made a gentleman's agreement that he would get in the suit and walk in front of the camera for $1,000. But then he said he was never paid a dime for it and wants to make money from it after 36 years. I think that's all we need to know about who Bob is. And $1,000 to walk for not even a minute in a monkey suit? $1,000 is a lot now. And in 1967, that would have been so much. And to walk in front of a camera for a minute to do that? What? But as to whether or not the Patterson-Gimlin footage is real, well, that's up for debate. I don't know if we'll ever actually truly know, because Roger Patterson passed away in 1972, but Bob Gimlin is 90 years old and still alive. Do you think Bigfoot's real?
During springtime 1995, in the small town of Canavanas, Puerto Rico, reports began pouring in from local farmers about dead livestock. Hundreds of animals, including goats, sheep, chicken, rabbits, cats, and dogs, all being left completely bloodless with no trace of the killer except for 3 marks left on the necks of the corpses. Almost immediately, the town's residents began to fear not only for their own lives, but for the sake of their livelihoods. Guards were positioned overnight to protect the surviving animals, kids were being escorted to school, and the mayor even hired search parties of over 200 people to help track down the culprit, whatever it was. But they were simply unable to find it. The first eyewitness interview regarding the creature was given to a woman named Madeline Tolentino, who had apparently seen it through a window of her home sometime in March of 1995. She described it as being bipedal with black eyes, scaly reptilian skin, and spikes all along its backside. She also claimed it hopped like a kangaroo and reeked of sulfur. Shortly after this interview, several locals corroborated her description, and the news began to spread until eventually reports started coming in from all over South and Central America, including in countries such as Mexico, Brazil, Panama, Argentina, Chile, Bolivia, and Peru, and Texas has also been home to some apparent encounters. Everywhere the creature went, it brought with it an insatiable lust for blood and mass slaughter, resulting in the strange deaths of hundreds, perhaps thousands of animals. For a long time, it remained physically elusive. Nobody had ever captured one dead or alive. But then came the turn of the millennium, and with it, a new wave of chupacabra sightings, an evolved description now quadrupedal and more canine-like, and finally, some actual bodies. Over 12 bodies have been discovered since the mid-90s, and all of them have been absolutely horrific looking, with burnt skin, hairless torsos, and emaciated appearances. DNA evidence, however, suggests that most of these are simply dogs, coyotes, or raccoons suffering from disease. But this definitely hasn't stopped people from believing in the cryptid, especially considering others have actually released video footage of what they claim to be El Chupacabra, such as this one taken in DeWitt County, Texas on August 12, 2008.
How crazy is that?
Now, ever since the first sighting of the creature, El Chupacabra has become a cultural phenomenon, particularly with those countries in Latin America who have been victims of its terror, but also worldwide and in Hollywood, where it's been the subject of several films, documentaries, and TV shows, including Grimm, The X-Files, and Monster Quest. And citizens of Cuero, Texas have even considered making it their town's mascot, after the discovery of a body led to a flurry of interest not only nationwide, but globally, with t-shirts being sent out worldwide. So the question is, does El Chupacabra actually exist? If so, what in the world, or out of this world, even is it? Could it be an alien? A government experiment gone wrong? Nobody truly knows for sure. But to those citizens living in the town of Canavanas, Puerto Rico in the spring of 1995, the goat sucker was more real than any of us could possibly imagine. And so next time you go to let your dogs out late at night or to tend to your farm animals, just remember to keep a lookout, because you never know what's out there. All right, guys, that's gonna do it for us today.
If you liked what you saw and want to see more of our content, our TikTok and our Instagram account is in the bio.
Also, if you have any idea for content you'd like us to make in the future, please let us know in the comments below, and it could end up being in a future video. Thank you for watching.